Hi, I'm Brent Holtz. I'm a farm advisor with the University of California, and I'm here today to help you prune first-year dormant almond trees. Over the years, I've seen many trees pruned improperly that first year, and that first year is very important to establish primary scaffolds and get the structure of the tree, and that will be important for the rest of the tree's life. And I'm here today with Bill Seaman and Luis Baca. These two have been working together for over 40 years as a business pruning trees for growers. I knew I couldn't do the subject justice by myself, so I brought in the best I knew to help me prune these trees today. Before we get started, it's important to note that these trees were potted trees from the nursery, and the first year of pruning is a little different. The potted trees were headed, and wherever you make that heading cut, you get a lot of branch angles. So I would have preferred to be pruning a dormant bare root tree. They're actually easier to prune, so it's good that we're pruning these trees because it's gonna show how difficult pruning first year trees can be. But that heading from the nursery stimulated a lot of growth around this one area where it was headed, and so it was harder to find limbs with good vertical separation. So in a bare root potted tree, we think we would find better vertical separation. But this is what we see a lot. A lot of the industry is converting to potted trees, so this was a good reason why we did this video here, is because these trees are going to be harder to prune. All right, well, let's go prune some trees.
Before making any cuts to a young tree, pruning should not take place during wet conditions or if wet conditions are expected shortly after. When you're ready to prune, the first step in proper pruning is to select the primary scaffolds for the tree. When selecting the primary scaffolds, look for 3 to 5 strong branches that are well spaced around the trunk. Ideally, these scaffolds should be spaced 3 to 6 inches apart vertically.
We have nice vertical spacing going up the trunk between where the primaries come out, so they're not coming out from the same spot like some of the other trees.
Additionally, when viewing the selected scaffolds from above, they should be roughly 120 degrees apart if you have 3, or proportionally spaced if you have 4 or more. This arrangement helps prevent splitting branches, leaning trunks, and crossing limbs as the tree matures.
Unfortunately, this tree didn't have a lot of vertical separation, but we did select scaffolds that if you look down on the tree, we tried to get 2 or 3 scaffolds pointing into the northwest is where the prevailing winds will come from. And so we want to select primary scaffolds going to the northwest to help balance that tree, because this south-facing limb will eventually be bigger than the 3 others on the north. So we're trying to visualize what this tree is going to look like, and we're going to try to select primary scaffolds going to the north to counter this one primary scaffold going to the south. Well, here Luis showed us this great technique of taking off 2 branches he pruned and wrapping them together and making kind of a splint, and then pushing the limbs to the right angle where he wants. And he is really an artist at that. And this is an example. He pushed this limb to the northwest, and with this limb he again pushed it right to where we want the limb going for the prevailing winds.
The angle of the primary scaffolds is crucial. The ideal scaffold should grow at a 45-degree angle from the horizon and the tree trunk. Limbs that grow too steeply or too flat can lead to weak attachments and potential splitting under heavy crop loads.
While we're here, I just wanted to point out that these trees were held in place after they were planted with this wire trellis system that wrapped around each tree. And typically we would usually put a stake out northwest of these trees and try to make sure we pull the the tree into the prevailing winds. But some growers are trying this wire trellis option to keep those trees straight and going into the prevailing wind. So I just wanted you to see the other technique that we often see done in an almond orchard.
After selecting your primary scaffolds, it's important to remove any major limbs that originate below them, especially those close to the ground. You'll want at least 22 to 26 inches of clearance between the ground and your lowest scaffold. This space is critical to allow access for the shaker head during harvest.
As we're here today to select these primary scaffolds and build the ideal tree structure, we create some pretty large wounds for such a small tree. Unfortunately, these wounds can be infected by 3 fairly common fungal plant pathogenic fungi that can infect them and cause cankers. Phytophthora, ceratocystis, and Bacteriosphaeria are all fungal pathogens that we need to worry about infecting these wounds. And so, because they're pretty big wounds, they're probably the biggest wounds this tree will ever have for its size, I like to treat them with a paint that's been treated with a fungicide. And Dr. Florent Trullios at UC Davis and the Kearney Ag Center has done some very nice work showing that this paint fungicide combination will control about 90% of these wounds from getting infected.
As mentioned, a combination of whitewash paint and Topsin M is effective, providing both fungal protection and sunburn prevention. Topsin M can also be applied with an air blast sprayer at label rates to primary and secondary scaffolds that have been pruned. Applications should be made as soon as possible after pruning while the wounds are fresh.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you guys learned a few tips today. We had some great pruners out here, and I hope this will help you get your orchard off into the right start when you have first-year almond trees to prune.